The bear rises.
The bear wakes from its slumber. Is it spring yet?
Yes, everything's in bloom.
Oh, good.
Everything's in season.
I've been dreaming about food.
Oh, dude, you were moaning last night.
Oh yeah.
Did you know?
I didn't feel that great.
No, like I think you were like, it was like pain moan.
Oh
yeah. You were
It's like
sleeping.
poor breathing.
Well, I couldn't tell if it was like snoring or not.
It's kind of a mix.
Yeah, it was half snoring and then half like, oh.
Yeah. I shouldn't have eaten so much soup broth.
Yeah, the pike.
I had to run up and pee like 3 times in the night.
Really?
Yeah. And I feel a little bit dehydrated maybe.
I had my first poop, so that's good.
Oh.
Yeah. Couldn't sleep in too much longer. Actually felt full for most of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't feel too bad now. I think that the milkweed.
Was filling?
Yeah, well, I think it offered a lot of calories too, right?
Yeah.
It's all the seed in there, plus all the fat from the fish.
Yeah. I'm not hungry right now.
No, I'm okay. I keep checking my do a skin fold test just to check to make sure how much fat I have. And I think I would guess I probably lost maybe a pound or 2
Oh yeah.
at the moment.
It'll be interesting to weigh out. I had a dream that we forgot to weigh out. When we went out.
Well, I just reviewed the video and wrote down like accurate numbers.
Yeah.
As far as they go, so
Oh yeah.
I don't have to review it because I changed the card out, so we have a fresh card
Right on.
just in case something goes wrong. But yeah, I don't know. We have to come up with some kind of plan for today, I guess.
Oh, yep.
The day is overcast.
Yeah, it was supposed to be sunny and 26 today.
Oh, overcast sky. Which is fine. I guess we haven't really updated as far as the minnow traps go, but if we have 3 crayfish in there and that's it. Out of 2 nights, we can double check them now, but something weird about this lake. The visibility is really poor. I think maybe there's some kind of algae bloom going on. Which could be messing everything up. All the pikes had empty stomach too, so they're not feeding. And no minnows, like we can't really see very many minnows except for the back and the outflow. So, I don't know, come up with something for today, I guess. And still our 3 friends. That's it, 3 crayfish. You see in that water there's that green scummy stuff there, and the visibility's really poor in this lake. Like you can't see down a foot, which makes the fishing pretty challenging too. Our other trap down here, that one's got nothing in it. No minnow.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah, see all that weird You
Yeah.
can see it in the water.
Yeah,
I'm sure that shows up on camera.
I was looking at that. See all that green, scummy stuff. Some kind of algae bloom. I don't know too much about algae blooms, do you?
Just that they happen, and they'll use up all the oxygen in the water, and if it's blue-green algae, then they'll also produce microcystin, which is a toxin, right? So you don't want to, well, they post warnings on beaches and things. You shouldn't drink the water if there's microcystin in it.
What about the fish?
I don't know if the fish suffer from it so much. Apparently dogs have died from drinking water with microcystin in it, but I don't know that much about it.
So how concerned are we about that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross, actually. Like, it's just kind of gross that you can't see in the water, and there's always like scummy algae floating around. You know, like you can paddle out into the middle of a lake and scoop cleaner water if you don't like the shore water. Like, it's all the same here, right? Even out in the middle, it's all that weird.
Yeah, you really,
Scummy
like,
algae.
the visibility's ridiculously poor. Like, even for, you know, a dirty lake, a tea-stained lake, it's not because it's a tea-stained lake.
No, although it's got a bit of tea stain in it, but it's just like
Yeah,
thick with.
very dense, whatever the coloring is.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's messing up our fishing, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this would be about the time for an algae bloom in August. So. So we just had a pretty lengthy chat. Actually, it wasn't very lengthy at all, because we met consensus almost right away that we're gonna move, and that's gonna require us to pull everything down. So we figure about an hour to do that, an hour to paddle out, and then an hour drive. We're relocating. The resources we expected here, I mean, they pretty much are what we expected. However, the lake, there's some concern with the toxicity of the lake. It's not a major concern. Maybe we could probably just deal with it. But we have limited time to do the experiment, and it's something we might not repeat for a while. So we want to be able to do it to the best of our abilities. And also, I mean, eating milkweed from a rail bed isn't necessarily something you want to do a lot. It does have toxins from how the rail system works. So there's that. There's also the fact that there really aren't that many berries. We were counting a little bit on the cattail, but that's not panning out either. So it's not really a cop-out, and part of the challenge I had in my mind was that we'd be able to move around if we wanted to, and even use a vehicle to do it, because of the fact that it's difficult to get all the nutrients we need from nature. It's not something that just happens. It's something that, you know, you need to move around and need to be mobile, and because the abundance of nutrients isn't concentrated in certain areas. Like going back to that argument about how cities were built in areas that had abundance, and those cities grew because, you know, people had families and they could feed their families. Well, all these remote areas that we're talking about now, they don't have as many nutrients, and so people didn't build cities because they couldn't raise families. So we're kind of left up in a broken system as far as living in the wilderness goes. So all the areas don't have everything. It may come to be that we are more educated about the things that we need moving forward in other challenges. If we decide to do another one, where we're a lot more selective about the timing of the challenge and the location of the challenge, and then itemizing all the nutritional elements that we need, you know, the protein, the fat, the carbohydrates, you know, the berries, etc., and have that well balanced item list. But we have it sort of set out before we head into one location. This was, you know, it's our first trial, and we had some expectations, and Jeremy kind of was the person who decided on this lake. And not to say, you know, it could have been fine, maybe it was a lot more productive had there not been the algae, or maybe it just is a typical lake. But as far as pike goes, this isn't a lake that I find to be typical of my experience with pike. Catching little, you know, pike is normal, but only catching little pike like that is a little bit out of the ordinary. And then not having any minnows, having the traps out and stuff like that, and just a couple of crayfish is it's pretty bizarre to me. So there's definitely something going on here. But we're not making excuses, it's just I'm explaining things because I want to be upfront. If we show up on camera in a brand new location and it's a lot better than this location, that's the reason why. So in the interest of being forthright and honest about what's happening with this challenge, I thought I would disclose that. So we're gonna be hustling pretty good. Jeremy's gonna have a coffee, and we're gonna pack up real quick, load out, and get to a new spot. This spot has a promise of having more berries at least, and hopefully some fish. You know, it's going to be another pike lake, I think, and there are going to be some other lakes in the near vicinity. So, but it is a fair distance away, so I'm just mentioning that because we could have gone to this location on the outset, or we could just sit here and starve it out and go another 2 days without, you know, I should say that it's probably going to set us back in the long run, because by the time we start getting active about catching anything, it's going to be past noon and set up, and so in the long run it's actually going to be, it's a little bit of a gamble and a little bit of a risk and a little bit of a setback, because we, like I said, we could be fishing right now and catching fish, and we could probably outlast the next 2.5 days no problem. But yeah, we're gonna move around, and hopefully that improves our situation. But like all the risks we've taken as far as the paddle out yesterday, it cost us quite a bit. So we're always setting back when we're doing these big risks, or you know, these big expeditions to find new things. The easy bet's just to continue what we're doing and probably experience about the same level of productivity moving forward. But we're hoping for a little bit more just to get ahead, and it's a personal thing too. We want to have a good experience doing this, and it would be nice to have a little bit of a change in diet too, eating the pike every day. Like, we're on 7 pike now, and not much else. It was nice to have the milkweed yesterday in good abundance, and I felt kind of full doing that. So, you know, that was the upside there. But we'll bring our milkweed with us, I think. Pack out. There's going to be no breakfast and probably no lunch. Hopefully get into some quick berries maybe by the end of the day, and that'll help us tide us over, and maybe a fish by the end of the day. Who knows, if we hustle. Anyway, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you do it?
Hey?
So can't chew it?
No.
It's the lily root.
Yeah. Lily root chips. I'm going to try air drying it and then bring it up to a boil.
Seems a little bit better. I don't know. At this point I could probably eat it.
Is it good for you to eat it? If it's that bitter that you're just kind of choking it down, it may not be good for you. I wonder what the muskrats do with it.
They've got some hidden technique.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe they just are built for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's gross.
Alright. I'm just gonna top up this blue pot.
Yeah, top up the blue pot, and a little bit of protein will fall in there.
That should be enough to boil those 3 in.
Okay.
Bring this up to boil. Probably take a few minutes.
It's breakfast.
1.5 crayfish tails each.
Plus We have milkweed.
Yep.
And
And a cup of coffee.
The cheat.
There, 6 calories, I think is what's in there.
Is that what's in there?
For anybody who's counting.
Yeah. And what about the fish stew? We kept the fish stew. What does that look like now?
Just looks like fish broth.
Fish broth. Full of calories. Although I think if I ate it, it would go right through me.
It's probably the fat skimmed on top, eh?
Yep.
Maybe I'll get a cup of it down.
Yeah, you're gonna try for a cup? I might.
First I'll try for a sip.
I'll try a sip and see how it goes.
Yep.
I don't want to be like blowing myself out.
No.
Which tends to be the case with me as far as like really fatty foods first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah.
So.
Just put it in your water bottle and save it up for later in the day.
Yeah, thanks. I think I've had enough. I'm making excuses partly too. No, it's actually there's a grain of truth in there. More than a grain of truth. So breakfast of champions.
You hear the Queen song playing in your head?
What's the Queen song?
We are the champions.
Are we? Are we winning?
We are the champions. Where's my fork? The dirt juice.
They're actually pretty good, but it's like eating vegetables for breakfast.
What's wrong with that?
Just vegetables.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. Just green beans for breakfast. Do you want to retell how you feel about your food right now? Like you were saying, you're not hungry.
Nope. Oh, just kind of I have like food senses that are, you know, where you kind of feel like you've missed something or forgotten something, and then I realize, oh, I should be eating oatmeal and eggs right now. But then on like thinking about it rationally, I'm not really hungry for them. I was kind of craving that coffee though. Like I could feel like my headache's gone now. I had a headache, and so that was like the cure for me. But I'm not missing, well, we're eating breakfast, so I'm not really missing my regular breakfast or craving it or thinking about food all the time necessarily. I am talking about it a lot though.
You are
just
talking.
to tease you.
You
Yeah.
yet to tease me.
Because you seem to be having more hunger. I haven't had a hunger pang yet, like, or a tummy rumble, or
Yeah, that's bizarre.
because I mean we've still eaten twice a day, right? So I don't know, but I think I'm pretty empty right now because I'm pretty sure supper went through me this morning, so I'm right on empty according to the evidence.
And me, on the other hand, I'm starving. I've been starving since pretty much we got here. Yeah, I don't know. I could eat tons of food, and not out of habit or necessity, but or I guess out of culture or habit or anything like that. Just I'm hungry. I'm legitimately hungry. But it does remind me of my fasting experiment. So I'm in a place where I thought I would be doing that, so I can tolerate it. But yeah, I'm hungry. I could eat a lot of food right now, definitely. And I think last night was probably the only time I felt like I had enough food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with all the milk,
you couldn't eat
the milk.
mouthful, you were
Yeah, and the picking on the fish.
at the end.
But I'm right back at it this morning. And when I woke up a few times, I noticed I wasn't hungry, whereas the first night I was hungry. So I'm probably adjusting to it a little bit better too. But yeah, with eating these, I guess they're kind of low-calorie meals, right? With the lean fish, aside from the broth and everything.
It's that Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably just eat forever and not actually gain a whole lot of weight doing what we're doing. But we, like you say, your Fitbit said we burn 3,800 calories, or you burned 3,800 calories yesterday. At the end of the day, it was like 4,000.
I checked before midnight and I was over 4,000 by a bit.
Yeah.
Like if that's accurate.
And we didn't consume 4,000 calories yesterday. No. So.
Maybe not even 2,000.
Yeah. No, probably not. So interesting. We'll get back to the vehicle and the scale, and we'll do a scale reading there as sort of a midpoint check-in. What do we have? We'll be 2 days now by this afternoon.
You mean like today to do a check-in? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
To see as a progression.
2 full days, basically.
Yeah, 2 full days, and so it'll be midpoint. So that'll be interesting. But for breakfast, yeah, we got our milkweed and crayfish and maybe a sip of broth, as tolerated.
Did we lose our boil? Nope. Oh, see them turn red?
Yep.
Pretty quick, eh? I'm just gonna cover them up to let them simmer a bit.
The reality of pulling up stakes and moving on, rather than spending the morning fishing and hopefully returning to camp for a meal, was that we'd have to rely on any food supplies we had in excess in order to move forward, and those were looking quite grim. Fish broth likely contained ample calories, but it was not easily tolerated. The fishy brew was not something we were used to consuming early in the morning, but we did our best to choke some down. We also had milkweed, which didn't offer much energy at all, but at least filled our stomachs, for a while at least. Finally, we had crayfish, which turned out to be quite tasty, but only provided a small amount of calories, about 87 calories per 100 grams. More than this, we'd have to split 3 crayfish 2 ways. That amount of meat was certainly nowhere near the 10 pounds of crayfish your body requires to reach the active person's daily requirement of 3,300 calories. However, our move came with the hope of better fishing, berries in plenty, and at the very least, potable water.
Might be a little bit hot yet, so just grab them by the thorax and the tail, and you can kind of work they are hot. Work the tail out. So the green is a little bit of the guts, right? And then from here, I'm sure there's a really good trick for peeling around the meat, but I don't know it. But you can kind of remove the shell. And then all that white, pinky flesh is the meat. At some point you might be able to just pop it loose like eating shrimp. Boop! Look at that! There's the empty shell, there's the crayfish meat.
You eat the claws too or no?
I don't know that there's much in them, but we can give it a try. Depends on how hungry you are. Ready?
Yep.
Alright. We need like tiny little forks and melted butter, right? Yep. We're gonna have to fight over the third one. That's good.
I'm emaciated.
Yeah, so I'll win the fight, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Or you need it worse.
Well, yeah, you could use ethics or natural selection.
Yeah, alright. We'll see. Alright, dig in.
Alright. Just saw a turtle in the water here at the trap.
That's probably why the other trap was rocking the other day too.
Yeah.
Like he just was kind of pulling on it with his hand, trying to... That might be why there's no crayfish either. Maybe he's eating all the crayfish as they're like marching up to it.
And snapping turtles are legal and edible, but we already had a discussion before that we wouldn't eat one. Just for ethical considerations. So we didn't actually try to catch one this time. Well, we probably could have I have another video on the channel which may or may not be up by the time this airs, but I showed how I caught one by hand fairly easily. But anyway, you can watch that video when it comes up to see why we wouldn't eat one. And it's not because it's not nutritious, it's just for other reasons altogether. So we kind of struck that one off the list, but it would be a really good survival option, and natives ate them, right, Jer? Pretty sure I read that somewhere. Like they had old traps that they would use.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen a traditional trap design, but I think
They made little box traps.
Yeah,
with the door would swing open.
I know biologists use traps to catch them, like a basking trap. So you make a little platform where they would like to come up in the sun.
Yeah.
But then they can't come out of it. Like there's like a fall in, right? So they get stuck inside of it, or there are different ways to catch them. But I think pike guts is presumably a really good way to catch them.
Easy. And the box traps would just be a square box, and it'd have a door.
Like a one-way swing.
Yeah, one-way swing. The door would swing open, and they would get the bait at the end of it, and then the door would close, and then they wouldn't be able to push it back out. Those were the designs I saw. But I think it's only legal here to catch them by hand. I'm not totally familiar with the legalities, and they're different in the US. You can use hooks and whatever. Catching a turtle would be fairly simple with a hook, because they'd swallow the hook and then just come back and get it.
Yeah, on a heavy-duty rope.
But that's not a legal option here. So our mainstay has always been the fish and crayfish, and we're hoping to get some minnows too. Would be nice just to throw in a broth, but that hasn't happened so far. Alright, try a little bit of fish broth. Two-day-old fish broth.
It's rice heated.
Yeah, heated 3 times.
Or more, 4 maybe at this point.
So it's still, I don't know, if you like fish soup, I guess it would be good enough for consumption, but I'm not a big fan of fish soup, so I feel like I want some noodles or some bulk in there. My stomach's just rejecting it already.
Oh yeah, it doesn't want it.
I've already had a couple sips of it, and actually the first sip kind of tasted alright. It was nice and warm, so maybe that's just warm fluid.
Yeah, maybe you should have just warmed up some water.
Yeah, probably.
Hot drink.
Alright. That's okay again.
Yeah, first sip.
First sip. Maybe it's got to be warm, because as soon as it cools off, I don't like it.
Just chug it down hot right out of the pan then.
Well, if I do that, we might be pulling the canoe over.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting experiment, just to see if I would tolerate it this morning. Being on a low calorie. Like when I drink it, I actually feel like I'm getting my energy back.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign, right? But
or maybe your body just hasn't figured out yet that you don't really want to drink it. It's just happy that there's something going down.
Could be. But you could see there's lots of fat floating on the top. So it is really calorie dense. But I've had bad reactions to fish soup before, so maybe one more sip and that's it. And Jeremy's not even gonna try. He's out.
Not hungry enough this morning.
Look at this guy, he's not hungry. So you don't want this one?
No, I'm good. Go for it.
I got the last
Milkweed pod?
milkweed and one little claw left. The claw doesn't have very much in there. Yeah, now my stomach's not enjoying that. With the cold milkweed falling down as a chaser. Our meager supplies, they're dwindling.
It's alright, we're going to the land of plenty.
Yeah, we would have been alright if we fished this morning, probably. 2 more fish would have been nice for breakfast with the milkweed.
Yeah.
A fish each would probably be good. We'd be in homeostasis. We're off to new lands now with more promise.
Goodbye, Tequila Point.
Tequila Point is in the background as we speak. See if we can come up with some better land.